What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of The Closing Pitch. The episode that you're about to listen to is an episode that we recorded back in December. It's been in the archives. I actually pulled it out and was looking at it, and I was like, this was a pretty good episode. I want to throw this out there. So we had some really good topics. Dave, talk about the first one.
It was about the Houston basketball player that we saw that they lost the game. Some of their players were frustrated, threw some trash onto the ground, threw a trash can on the ground. And we talked about the character of this one individual who took his time to pick up the trash and basically leave the place better than he walked into it.
Yeah, so character is a big thing in sports, and especially with social media. After the whole Stafford thing in LA, kind of concerning, and I thought this was a really good episode to put back out there. And also, we talked about camps and like winter. How the not camps but breaks, winter break, and how those types of breaks that you have throughout the year are super important when it comes to executing and actually taking advantage of it and gaining ground on your competition. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Please give us 5 stars. Follow us on Twitter. Mine is at Spiker Helms, David Birkby at David Birkby, and we will catch you in the next episode after you listen to this one.
Hope you enjoy.
Let's finish it.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of The Closing Pitch. My name is Spiker Helms, and this is a show about people, culture, and how to create a winning lifestyle. This is a 3 topics and we're out show. Dave, how are you feeling today?
Good, man. Very good.
So Dave came to me the other day, and I think we have made a significant push in the positive direction here. He came in yesterday and said, Spiker, I want to learn more about NFTs. I was like, how did you come to this conclusion? He goes, well, I was watching a video from Gary Vee. I have been talking about this for a whole year, and he's finally getting on the train.
This is not one of the topics we're talking about.
It's not, but I wanted to bring it up.
Because you're so hurt.
And so we ended up going on OpenSea. If you don't know what OpenSea is, it's an exchange for NFTs. I don't own any NFTs. This is not investment advice. This is just curiosity at its finest. And he goes, hey, I want to get this NFT. It has a diamond by it. And I was like, well, what number is it next to the diamond? 4. Oh, yeah, that's 4. That's 4. He's like, so 400? I'm like, no, 4K times 4.
And I immediately got out of the conversation.
Now he does not want to be a part of NFTs.
I'm going back to cash. Cash is king.
Cash is king.
Buy some gold.
I'm going back to the US dollar. Anyways, that is not the topic. I just thought it was a funny story. But today we have 3 topics, mostly baseball. There's actually one that is relevant for everyone on just being a good human in general. I don't know if any of you guys saw this on Twitter. It was filtering pretty quickly. Had 4,000 likes already. Houston Cougars basketball player came by and actually picked up trash after they were playing Alabama.
They had gotten beat by Alabama, and the video kind of went viral where I believe it looked like a young assistant coach was storming off the court and kicked a chair, and then they were followed by players, and those players saw the emotion and the anger out of I'm sure they're upset, right? They're all competitors, and the player then saw the coach kick the chair, and he decided he's going to kick another chair and dump the trash can down and walk off. And then I didn't do my research, and I probably should have. I wanted to know what kind of a role this young man had on the team, whether it was like a captain or a younger player, or if he's a contributor or not. And I really don't know that, and I probably should look that up. But then he's kind of followed by another Houston player who literally stops what he's doing and decides that he's going to take it upon himself to clean up that trash and put the chair back where it was and everything else, and basically do the right thing, because left it better than what he saw.
I think what makes this video so interesting is that it's a higher up coach, probably an assistant.
He looked like an assistant.
Yeah. And then what is weird is that this guy's picking up the trash, and then these other guys that are part of the team they look like they're trainers or something. They're not helping him pick it up. It's just literally this dude picking up trash, and he's a player. And you're taught that at a very early age. I hope that a lot of coaches are still teaching this, which is you got to pick up the dugout. You got to pick up the things that are laying around. We want to leave it better than when we came here for, no matter if you lost or you have problems during the game or you are not playing well. And I just don't get why these higher up, these coaches, the people that we look to, are just literally standing around watching this dude pick up trash.
Well, you kind of watch it too. If you watch the whole video, then I think it's that same assistant kind of comes back and he kind of has that oh crap moment. Like, I'm supposed to be the person of authority. I obviously let my emotions get the best of me. I did something stupid. A kid who's still a kid, right? He's still young, 19 to 22-year-old. Is doing something that I should have probably done myself and corrected my mistake. I always look at it as this, and I talk to my players about it all the time because I'm very, very this is pretty much a standard with our program, okay, that when you leave a dugout, you are going to leave it spotless. I don't even care. Like, we've walked into dugouts before, and I've used this as a teaching moment a million times over. We've walked into dugouts where a team has just left and they get out of there, and it is a complete and utter disaster. It's gross. There's 18 Gatorade bottles left. There's seeds everywhere. There's just trash, game tape, everything that's been used, and that team's just up and gone. They won, they lost, who cares? They left it in literal disarray. And I'm going to tell my players right now, I go, before we go out there, we're going to clean this. Before we go out on the field, we're going to clean this up. And I always get the answer, well, why? We didn't do it. It's not. We didn't do that, coach. Why do we have to pick that up? Because you're going to do it, number one. You're going to leave the place. You're going to take pride in this field, okay? This field, they're letting you use this. You're getting to be a part of this game. You're going to take pride in that, number one. Number two, that's going to show you the attention to detail that we want. If we care just enough about cleaning up that dugout, we're going to care about our swing. We're going to care about everything else that we do. We're going to take pride in how we stretch. We're going to take pride in everything. You're also representing the Tigers. You're representing yourself. Okay? Prideful people do not walk past that trash. They're going to stop. They're going to pick that up because they're going to leave that place better than it was before. And then after the game, we're going to pick our stuff up so that when the next team comes in, they're going to have a nice dugout to play in.
Coach Pratt was in here this morning talking with us. We were just talking shop on recruiting and guys that are doing really well in our program and are starting to gain interest. And we started just talking about college coaches. And I've played against a lot of the coaches that he knows. But then there are some other guys that I haven't played against. And I wanted to get a little bit of like, hey, what's this guy like? What's that guy like? And we just had this like really fun conversation because you have a perception of a person, and then when you actually play on the same field and you're competing against those people, you get a different perception right away. Some are good, some are bad. And one person that he talked about was Augie Garrido, and he said that he was trying to battle the white collar mentality at the time.
It was like the elitist Texas
elitist
model, like,
mentality. Yeah. And this being able to be humble and picking up the dugout is a blue collar mentality, and it'll serve you better in the future rather than being entitled to, oh, I'm here, I deserve all of this. Where like we play at Grand Park, awesome ballpark, awesome facilities. Yes, you did pay to play there. Yes, you deserve to be on that field because you did make a purchase. But at the same time, you're not entitled to just trash it because you don't own it. Mm-hmm. That'd be like me going into, let's just say, Williams-Sonoma, which is a kitchen store, and I go in and I just trash everything. I can walk in there and buy something, but I just trash everything. I'm not entitled to that store because I don't own it. A lot of people, I feel like, I wouldn't say a lot, I just feel like the minority is louder than the majority, where we think that we deserve everything that we deserve, which you don't.
Right. I wrote something down here because it came into mind. I saw this quote like a month ago on Twitter, and it was like, if you've ever been, to a grocery store, okay, and you get done shopping, you go ahead and put your food and everything that you bought away in your car, and then you kind of go over and put your shopping cart away, right? Well, I saw a quote that said, I've never met a successful person if they see a shopping cart not in the correct shopping cart holder or just sitting out there in the middle of the parking lot. I've never seen a successful person not go over and grab that shopping cart and put it in.
100%.
I've never seen it because they know that, well, I mean, I know what I would think. I'd be like, well, dude, that cart or that could kind of go away, and it might not hit my car, but it might hit someone else's. So I'm going to go take care of that.
Yep.
I'm going to go solve somebody else's problem today and make it better.
Yep.
Same deal.
100%. It's just being able to take care of things, taking care of the world because you know what the other person is going through. Like example, retail. There's so many times that you'd go into a mall and the clothes would be all disarrayed and not folded up properly. And you're like, how do you think those clothes actually get like there?
Right.
Another human being had to fold those clothes. Like, well, that's what the company's paying them for. Like, yeah, but shit, they could be doing something else. Right. Like they could be doing something that could benefit you more in the store where they're like, I'm tired. I got to fold these clothes. And then you walk into the store and they can't help you because they're folding the clothes. It just stockpiles itself. So kudos to the sophomore guard, Jamal Sheed, or is it? It's Sheed, from the Houston Cougars. Awesome job. And if you haven't seen this video, please go on Twitter and find it. It is just an awesome video. I'll link it into the show notes. Second topic at hand is I love this idea. I love this thought because there's a lot of misconceptions and numbers are a little bit exaggerated, and I think that just has to deal with the human mind. Like we exaggerate stories, so we love exaggerating numbers sometimes. But one of the tweets says, "Real is it? It is
JT Real Muto.
Yes,
he's the all-star catcher for the Philadelphia Phillies.
He has a pop time of 1.89.
No, that was his best one.
That's his best one.
In game last year, as you guys know, if you follow Major League Baseball, now they have not TrackMan, but Hawkeye in every stadium. They've got numbers upon numbers on everything. So they track literally anything and everything that goes on in the game. And JT Real Muto, who is the best catcher, probably one of the best catchers in the game right now. Very good defensive guy. He beat out Yachty for the Gold Glove this year. His best pop time, and if you don't know what a pop time is, it is whenever the ball gets thrown to the catcher, when it hits his glove, and he's throwing the ball down to second to try to catch a runner stealing second base. Whenever it hits the second base or shortstop's glove, whoever's covering that base, the difference in time is your pop time. And we track that. It's a big number that we track in high school baseball from a recruiting standpoint, because college coaches are going to want to know if a catcher can get that ball there quickly and shut down a running game. So anyhow, the best in-game pop time for JT Real Muto last year, it was a 1.89, so 1.89 seconds, which is really, really, really fast.
Many dads and moms, and this is not to get on you guys about it, but I've been in many conversations where I've had to bite my tongue, and they have said, "Oh yeah, he averages like a 1.9."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, he doesn't. But I can't say that. But I want to put it on the podcast because I want to make sure that if you are a parent that does do that, don't do that anymore. You're exaggerating your kid's ability, and you're not giving him a fair shot with those coaches, because the coaches know the numbers. If you're a really good coach, you know the numbers, and you're not going to start a quarrel and say, no, he's not. You're not going to start that. You're just going to nod your head yes and say, oh, okay, cool. And then you're going to walk away and be like, that guy was lying. That girl was lying. There's no way that dude's a 1.9.
Well, I think that the numbers get exaggerated because of a few things. Number one, We have a ton of showcases that go on. We have practices where players practice this or go out on their own. And you see them, and, there's no base runner, there's no game situation, there's no batter swinging a bat, which stops you from getting out of your crouch, out of your stance early. And these numbers are exaggerated in so many other things, too, like we can talk exit velocity, we can talk throwing velocity, we can talk all kinds of things where they get exaggerated.
The numbers that matter are in game.
Correct.
Anything that's outside of the game, I'm sorry, they don't matter. They just don't, because they're not going to be used in the game because there's so many other variables that you have to consider. So when you say, oh, he throws a 1.9, okay, was he in a crouch? Was there a runner? Was there a pitcher? Was there a batter? Is he actually getting a 1.9, or is it more like a 2.122?
Sure. And I mean, I don't want to sit here and just slam kids for going to a showcase and getting a little excited and throwing up a number that maybe is a little unrealistic. And I've had those conversations a ton with them. I'm like, well, that's great that, you kind of popped out a little bit quicker and you got off a good throw and no base runner, no batter, no nothing, and you threw a 1.9, okay? And that's great. But you're probably like a 2.1 in a game, and that's okay. It's the same thing for a pitcher who goes all out, throws the ball as hard as he can, throws it up in the zone, falls off to his glove side, is totally off balance. None of that plays in a game. If he tried to do that in a game, he'd be out in an inning or less because he can't throw strikes, so he's going to walk the world. But he hits 92. That's great. That shows maybe just a little snippet of your arm strength capability. But what are you in a game? Oh, I pitch 86 to 88 maybe, or I pitch 85 to 87. Okay, well, that's who you are, right? And that's where I think when we talk to coaches all the time, at least in my perspective on the recruiting side, I'm always going to give college coaches game numbers. I have to, because that's the real snapshot of who you are as a player. That's what they're ultimately going to care about, because guess what college coaches like to do? They like to get paid. Why do they get paid? Because they have a winning program. How do they win games? By kids performing in games.
You know what? This is a really good analogy. The show Slam Ball? You know that when they had the trampolines and everything?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Those guys are really good at dunking, but they can't play a lick of basketball.
No.
And they probably were decent players, but at the same time, like, what are you optimizing for? They're optimizing for slam dunks and making really cool, crazy plays. And this whole baseball thing where I'm going to chuck the ball as hard as I possibly can. Like, yeah, that's great. You did do it.
Yeah.
But can you do it in a game, and can you execute in a game? That's what actually really matters.
Right. And I always kind of look at it through this lens. So when a player comes to me and said, hey, coach, I did this at this showcase, or hey, coach, I did this and I put up this number, which, sounds really, really, really good. I'd never want to be like, well, dude, yeah, well, you didn't do it in a game, so what? I don't say that because I don't want to discourage him. I obviously want to encourage the player, and I want him to continue to want to, like, that's a big moment for that dude. Like, and especially if he's going to come and talk to you and kind of stick his chest out a little bit and be proud of it, I want him to be proud of it.
Well, he should be, because again, you're trying to build that confidence up, but at the same time, the only issue I have is when you start bragging 100%. About it to everybody about, like, oh yeah. Just in the stands, like, you can coaches can hear this in the stand, like, oh yeah, Jimmy, he throws a 1.9 pop time,
right?
Like, well, he's king shit.
Well, and that's what I was getting to. So when I'd have that conversation with the player, I'd obviously want to be like, dude, that's awesome. Hey, good on it, good for you. That's huge, right? Now keep working, because understand that that's not a game scenario, but it shows a snapshot of what you could be.
Yep.
And so now when you get into that game, now we'll find your game numbers and we'll keep working there. And that's, it's just like, keep the enthusiasm with it. Like, I hate the Twitter world when coaches come on and be like, that kid doesn't do it, he probably sucks, he doesn't throw a 1.8. Yeah, you're right, but bad approach, right? Bad approach. Go at it, like, keep the encouragement going, but kind of bring the kid to a little realization that, we still have to be working, because this isn't.
Well, it's the same. Like, I use Rapsodo, and I always try to use Blast as much as I possibly can. And I tell my players, you're optimizing for distance. We want to try to get the ball hit as far as you possibly can in the cage. Now, again, that's what you're capable of. That's what you could potentially do in a game if you get your pitch at the right time, in the right location, at the right speed, right?
Sure.
If you're able to do that, now we know, okay, that's your threshold right now. Let's try to build that threshold up, because then we can back it back down, because then you're going to be in game and you're going to be able to do the things that we need to do. Sure. So it's the same concept. Same concept.
Yep.
Last topic, and this is on the same conversation that we've had with Tread Athletics and Driveline as well, which is the most important time of the year for college baseball players and teams as a whole, winter break. Everyone goes home, and while no one is watching, these guys are expected to work as if the world is. This is where guys start to separate themselves between the good and the great. That was by one of the coaches tweeting it out. Had 957 likes. I think this is a really good topic because I have multiple viewpoints on this, and it also there's just a lot of variables. Give you guys an idea, I actually would travel down to Texas to work out during winter break. I know that there's a lot of people out there that don't have the means to do that. And the only reason we did do it was because my mom passed away and we wanted to get away from town. So me and my dad would actually go down to Texas and work out during winter break. And it provided a huge advantage. And at the time, it was more of me just wanting to hang out with my dad. Mm-hmm. That's what it was really about. But it definitely solidified me when I came back from winter break and realizing that my peers didn't do much. They probably went to the cages once a week, probably worked out in the weight room, like off and on. So, but I totally get the aspect of taking a break from it and trying to recoup your body. And I agree with Ben Brewster on this, is that if you are a person that wants to start at the college level or you want to play professional baseball and you're not a one percenter meaning your genetics and your capabilities, like your fast twitch muscles allows you to, you're more talented than everybody else, you have to use this time to get better. I would work out during Christmas. I didn't take that off because I was a grinder. I was a person that had to do that. I was talented, but I wasn't a genetic freak. I wasn't a one percenter. So when you think about the break time, which for college athletes, that's typically December 9th or 10th, around that week, they take their finals and then they're off and then they come back to school. Just depends. January, the second week of January. Some go back the first week of January, but you literally have a whole month almost to gain ground while everyone takes their break. In high school, you have a 2-week time frame, and arguably it could be more because a lot of those guys during November and December don't work out. So you're gaining a lot of ground during that time. You got to keep your foot on the pedal. Even though these guys are taking breaks, you have to be willing to work out on your own. And being at the top is very lonely. It is extremely lonely. There's a lot of nights and a lot of days where you're just like, dude, this is boring. Like, I am just literally by myself hitting off of a tee. And I'm like, I need some type of interaction with somebody.
So my take on this is this from this manner, because I've seen it for years. I've seen it on, because where we live in the Midwest, it's obviously gets really cold in November and you can't be outside and you kind of take a little break from baseball and then you kind of start ramping up in December. And for our high school guys, they start back in November and then they go all the way until their spring season starts in late February. I look at it as this. If you have started training again, so like you've taken your break from baseball or softball for that matter, and you kind of took your time away from the game, and then you started back, let's say November-ish, okay? You've gained a lot of momentum. You've worked at your craft for quite a while, leading up until the holiday season, okay? And for most programs, obviously, it's important to be around your families. It's important to kind of have that time, celebrate, the holidays and your time away from school, and you get to be with friends and family and everything else, and that's great. I try to urge players, and we want them to do that, first off. I'm not saying get away from that. I urge players to think about the momentum and the traction and the gains that they've already created, Okay, you've gotten to a certain point. You have a couple choices now. If you've got that momentum going, I think you would want to try to keep that momentum building and carry it over into the next few months leading up into your season. Because after all, you've put in a lot of time, a lot of hours. Your time is worth something. So if you choose to kind of stop and get away from it again, you're looking at a regression. Every week to 2 weeks you take off from a game, whether it's throwing, whether it's hitting, whether it's you lose feel, you lose your time spent, it's not 1-to-1. It's probably like you lose 2-to-1 on that one, in my opinion. What I've seen, like pitchers' arms, they go down. If you don't throw for a week, you lose 2 weeks of pre-work. If hitters you haven't seen pitching or BP or done anything or not swung, you lose 2 weeks of timing work. So if you do that, just understand now your next month that when you get back, you're going to have to kind of backtrack. And now you've lost a month of training or a month of your work. All that stuff that you did is gone. And it's you can't ever get it back. And so when you start building that momentum, we always urge our players, yes, go spend your time with your family. Yes, go spend your time with your friends. Yes, enjoy that because that is a big part of your life. But find some time. You're not in school. Find some time to go keep working at your craft so when you do pick it back up with your so-called team training, that you haven't missed a beat. You're ready to continue to progress. And that's from the guys who have done that. That has really been a huge separator. You see it. They come back, and the dudes who have hit all break and
you can tell
gotten after it, like they're just immediately first pitch, whack, second pitch, whack, and they just look good. And the guys who haven't, they've missed their timing.
And that puts an impression on the coaching staff.
Yeah.
It really does. And that could really be the separator right there is that you come in the first day and then you're just on all cylinders and you look like you're in season mode. And the other guys are just trying to get back into it.
Yep.
You're going to win over some minds, and you might be the person that they go to and be like, yeah, that's my guy.
That's a huge deal in college too, just like you said.
Oh, I beat out a lot of my peers. Just like my junior year, I was on the verge of not being in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
I was literally like, G sat me down and be like, Spiker, it doesn't look good for you. You didn't have a really good fall, and
because you always have those exit meetings,
end
of the fall or right before winter break. You have the exit meetings,
and he's like, it's not looking good for you right now. And that was like, oh shit, I better figure this out real quick.
Yep.
And literally I spent every day working out during Christmas break and came back. And then those guys that had a really good fall, it's like they were just trying to get their engine started back up. So never take the pedal off or your foot off the pedal. It is very surprising what things can happen in just a short time frame. And again, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be on a pulpit and say like, oh, this is what we need to do. This is how we need to do it. I think from an observation standpoint and what I've experienced and trying to pass along that information, I think it's super valuable to like, hey, you can trust me on this, or you can call me. What's the term? What's the term that a lot of the kids use on TikTok? Oh, boomers. They don't listen to boomers anymore. Yeah. And maybe you can just call me a millennial, a stupid millennial. But it's definitely true. You're going to gain ground when you treat it more like a lifestyle than anything else.
Yep, 100%.
Guys, that's this episode of The Closing Pitch. My name's Spiker Helms. Across me from me is David Birkby. This is a show about people, culture, and how to create a winning lifestyle. Please give us a review on Apple Podcasts. The ratings help. We get good guests because of that. So when you contribute your thoughts to our podcast, it helps us bring on more people that you want to listen to. So thanks, guys, and we will catch you in the next episode.
See you guys.